Hi, I'm Rowan from South Point Films, and I'm currently in Munich in Germany, capturing content at a conference for one of our clients. I thought it would be a fun idea to make a video about how I approach this sort of event, given that I'm really constrained with what I can bring on the plane. Yet I still want to do a really good job for my clients and capture loads of great content for them. I've done this type of job in various cities around the world, from Toronto to Prague to Paris to Lisbon, Barcelona, and of course here in Munich as well. And the requirements for me are quite broad. I need to be able to produce a really fun and exciting promotional video. I need to capture interviews for future content marketing purposes. I also need to record all of the presentations in full, ideally with the slides, so there's an AV element to this too. And also I'm taking stills as well that can be used for future marketing as well as print. So there's a lot going on. Here's how I do it without spending a small fortune on airline luggage fees. Let's start with the actual bags themselves. For the amount of output that I have for this job, you probably would be surprised to know that I actually print everything in two bags. One tall rolling bag, which goes in the hold of the plane, and one backpack which stays with me for the entire journey. The tall bag is for things that are a bit more robust, like tripods, lighting stands, as well as my personal items like clothing and toiletries, things that would be a bit tricky to take on the plane. And the backpack is for all of the valuable, expensive stuff like cameras, lenses, which are a bit delicate, as well as all of my lithium-ion batteries. What I love about these bags is the flexibility that I get with them. The tall bag I can fill up to 23 kilograms, it will go in the hold on most airlines, and the backpack is the right size to be a cabin bag on most airlines as well. But it's not just the plane where they're useful. Because it's just two bags, I can take them on a train from the airport to the city centre, or a bus if there's a bus service, and then I can walk the short distance from the train station or bus stop to my hotel. I can also walk them from my hotel to the venue as well, although I try not to carry them too far because they are quite heavy. But if I need to, I can still stick them in a taxi, and it's not too much of a challenge. I really like this setup, if you can't tell, but you didn't come to watch a video about bags, you came to see what's inside. So let's start with cameras. This is a Canon EOS R5. This camera I use for my B-roll video and also stills. I really like this camera because it is so quick moving between stills and video mode. I just push a button and it's changed. Plus the camera itself is super small and compact, which makes it great for travel, but also for me as an operator. I also have a Canon R5C with me, which is slightly more of a video camera. So I use this camera for capturing the presentations in full. It has a lot of the benefits of the Canon R5, such as being small and lightweight, but it can record for more than 30 minutes continuously, and it has a few more video-specific features. For both of these cameras, I bring 3 LP-E6NH batteries per camera. For the R5, this basically gives me a full day of runtime. For the R5C, I get about an hour per battery, but I do run the R5C off mains. I also bring media for both cameras, a mixture of CF Express cards, ideally one per camera, although one had to go back to Southampton from another job just before I came to Munich, plus SD cards for the cameras, but also for a Blackmagic Video Assist, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I also pair both cameras with a RF to EF mount adapter. These particular models are the clear pass-through adapters, so literally takes the RF mount and passes the EF lens image and data to the camera. We do have versions with ND filters, but with this particular job filming in conference rooms, I like to let as much light through, and the clear ND on those particular models don't actually go to clear. You always lose a little bit of light with them. But if I have to do any filming outside, which does happen sometimes, I do bring a variable ND filter. This lets me change the amount of light coming into the lens by attaching to the front of the lens, and I have a step-up ring to fit the lenses I bring. Speaking of lenses, the main lens that I use for content capture is this 24-105 EF f4 lens from Canon. I love a 24-105, it gives me such good flexibility with the types of shots that I can get, but the reason that I use this particular lens over a 24-105 RF f2.8, which we do have back at the office, is because it's much smaller and much more compact for travel. Here it is going into my camera bag, and you can see that it fits in vertically and I'm still able to close the bag. Whereas if I brought the slightly larger f2.8 RF version of this, it would have to go in horizontally and I wouldn't be able to fit any other lenses in that bag space. So that's why I use this particular lens. I guess in the future I could get an RF version of it, but there's no point spending money for the sake of it. This works really well. And here's a little tip of me with the R5 in action, the best I can really get when I'm out on site shooting on my own. To make life a bit easier, I do add a little grip to the top of the R5 just to make it easier for me to handle it as I'm moving around the venue. Not really so much for operation, but just when I'm on standby between takes. The next lens I bring is a 15-35 RF f2.8 lens from Canon. This is a lovely lens, one of my favorites, and usually I'd pair it with a gimbal, which I don't have on this specific job, but I bring this more as a get out of jail free card. It allows me to get wide angles in breakout rooms, which might be smaller than the main conference room, and it also gives me a up to 35mm lens for the other camera if the 24-105 is in use. The final lens I want to talk about is this EFS 55-250, which maybe is a bit of a curveball by some people's expectations, but the reason that I use this lens is it's a fantastic telephoto lens. It goes up to 250mm, which is great for doing long lens filming from the back of a conference room, especially if it's a longer room like I was in this time. And it also weighs practically nothing, which is quite unusual for a lens with this focal range, and truthfully, why it's stuck around in our inventory despite all of our cameras being full frame now. To go alongside the R5C, which I use for the presentation recordings, I have this Tascam audio interface, and this basically gives me a proper audio interface into that camera, complete with XLR ports, which is ideal for taking a feed from the sound desk. I also bring two Sennheiser G4 wireless lapel mic kits with me, which I use for doing interviews, but I could also use these for attaching to a presenter if I find the in-house AV isn't quite giving me what I want. I use RF mics because they are the industry standard for events, and also they take batteries as well, which means that I can just bring a couple of AAs with me, and because the batteries in these are removable, I can take the batteries out and I can actually put these mic kits in the bag that goes in the hold, as opposed to having to take them on the plane with me, which reduces how much I'm carrying and have to fit into my hand luggage. Next, let's talk about lighting. So for this particular job, I only bring one light with me, which is this Godox ML60II, or 2, I guess, which is a lovely compact 60-watt cob light. Here it is next to my 15-35, just to show you how small it is by comparison. This thing is tiny, yet it's super bright and super powerful. I really like this light. The great thing about this light is it's bicolor, and I can also power it off battery as well with this grip and D-tap adapter that I have. I bring a balance mount adapter for it, and this goes with an Aperture Light Dome Mini 3, which is also super compact and gives me a really great looking light for interviews. I power this light entirely off battery, so I don't have to worry about trailing cables, which when I'm on my own, it's just really nice to be able to move the light in position and turn it on. These lights are powered off two SmallRig 50 V-Lock batteries. The reason that I bring two of these batteries is for redundancy. So if I'm filming some interviews and the battery runs out, I can put a new battery on and then stick the other one on charge. These charge with USB-C, which is really, really helpful. It saves me bringing a dedicated charger. And also having two smaller batteries makes it easier to fit these in my bag. What I also really like about these particular batteries is that the USB-A port can be used for charging my phone, which turns them into power banks when I'm traveling. Now, as for supporting this light, I bring a relatively heavy-duty lighting stand with me. One of the best things about this particular stand is that I can take the stud out of the end and I can actually put it in horizontally, and then it fits perfectly in my rolling bag while still giving me a little pocket for some of the extra things that I need to bring with me, which is great. I also bring a tripod with me for the presentation capture, and I also use this for interviews as well. And this is a Manfrotto leg system with an E-image head, and this can go really tall. I think fully extended, it goes to about 6 foot. It's just slightly taller than me. Now onto the AV side of things. I'm trying to capture a full, clean recording of the presentation that goes to the projector so that I can integrate that with the video later. And to do this, I bring a Blackmagic Video Assist with me. This is used just for capturing those presentation slides. The reason I bring a Video Assist is because it's got great versatility with the ports. I have SDI in, HDMI in, I have pass-through for both of those, and I have audio in as well if I can get an audio feed from the sound desk. But most of the time I just set the time code manually on the Video Assist to time of day. I set the camera to be time of day, and then I just do a little bit of syncing in the edit to get the slides and the camera recording to sync up. Alongside the Video Assist, I bring a little Manfrotto tripod so that I can stand it up so it's not laying on the floor and likely to get trodden on. And I also bring an XLR to mini XLR adapter should I get an audio feed for the Video Assist. Alongside the Video Assist, I use a Decimator MDHX. This is key in recording a copy of the presentation slides, as I can take the laptop's HDMI connection and pass it through to the projector's HDMI connection, while also converting it to SDI for my Video Assist. At the same time, I can also convert the video signal to 25 frames a second, which is what the camera records in, saving me time in the edit process later on. Cabling, I bring a short SDI cable, a HDMI cable to connect the laptop to the Decimator, then I use the Venue's HDMI cable to connect to the projector. I bring two XLR cables for the R5C and the Video Assist, and then I bring power, a 4-meter extension reel to help me get power to wherever the Video Assist or the R5C is, a 4-way extension for being able to plug all of my devices in. I always bring one of these extensions in particular when I'm dealing with DC plugs that have the charger in different orientations. Case in point here being the Video Assist and the Decimator both have their plugs in different orientations. This is so annoying, and I wish there was just a standardized orientation for plugs, but there isn't, so we just have to live with it. Finally, on the power side, I bring an Anker multi-port USB charger. This has USB-C, which I can use for powering the R5C when I'm on location. It can also charge my laptop when I'm back at the hotel, and I can also use this charger for charging things like my phone, my Apple Watch, my iPad, and also for charging the cameras with the batteries in overnight as well, should I need to. Now for post-production. This job requires a fast turnaround. Usually the video goes out the next day after the event's finished. So as soon as I get back to the hotel, I ingest all the footage and then I edit through until I'm done. The main thing that I have with me is my laptop. It's a MacBook Air. I can run Final Cut and Lightroom on it so I can get all of my output created in the hotel room. Nothing beats having a proper pair of wired headphones for doing editing on. These are Sennheiser HD25s. I can use these particular headphones for monitoring audio when I'm on site as well, because I can just plug them into the camera. I also bring adapters for connecting my CF Express, SD card and USB devices into my laptop. And then I bring two SSDs with me. These are for copying footage onto once I get back to the edit. I run these in parallel, so I have one that will be my main that I edit from, and then another one which is a live backup that contains everything, just in case one of these drives fails. And finally, I'm also able to fit my iPad in the bag, which is a little bit work related because I use it for admin, for emails and that sort of thing, but also I use this for watching TV on it when I'm in the hotel room or when I'm on the plane, which is an absolute lifesaver for my sanity. So there you have it. That's a look at my extremely compact, incredibly versatile setup for doing this type of conference. If you're someone who's looking for similar services at your own event, hopefully this gives you an idea of what goes into it on our end and the sort of care and effort that we put in. Alternatively, if you're someone that does this sort of work yourself, like you're a videographer or photographer, please leave some comments below with your own tips and advice. I'd love to know how you get around things like packing and choosing the right type of kit that can travel well. So yeah, please leave a comment down below. And of course, if you enjoyed this, leave a like or a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe or follow depending on which platform you're on so that you can see more content like this as we produce it, because we will. So thanks very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.